Hey, hello everyone. My name is Jingy, and today I'm going to talk about how to do your best at teaching placement. Previously, other student teachers want me to talk about it from the perspective cultural differences. But as I can see that we have a lot of local students here, so I'm going to talk about it generally. Okay, so first I want to introduce myself. At the moment, I'm working as a teacher director at a sessional kindergarten in Mount Waverly. And then I'm also running a training and recruitment business called Job Bank. And then I've been helping a lot of student teachers to prepare for interview and find jobs in regional area and also in the Melbourne successfully. And then after that, we've been doing other on-job trainings like paperwork, VIT for registration, and also like student placement, just to name a few. So before I achieved all of this, I was an international student. I studied my Master of Teaching at the University of Melbourne. And we were not as lucky at that time because we didn't have any like a placement preparation session. We were just thrown into the deep end from week one. So we had placement started straight away. And then coming from China, and then I was just in Australia for about a month. They were actually still they do actually a lot of things that I don't know. Like when I was little, we never really did much painting. So there were a lot of experiences or even the vocabulary I didn't know, which really made me feel really challenging with my placement. So from with all that experience, I hope that I can be of give you any helpful tips today. So my GPA was really good when I was studying at the University of Melbourne, and I had a strong interest in process drama. So I did a research in my last semester on drama. And then all my classmates were maybe traveling, celebrating the graduation, I started looking for job. And trust me, if you start earlier, you will definitely be rewarded with lots of choices. Every year is close to the end of the year from October to maybe February next year. That's the best time for looking for jobs. There are so many opportunities. So I was really lucky. I had 3 offers to choose from, and the third one was City of Moonee Valley. And as we know that the council run kindergarten or community-based one, they generally offer better condition like paid school holiday, and also every 2 teaching hours you will have a 1 hour planning time. So I was really lucky. My first job was with them, and then after that, because of relocation, I also moved to Geelong and I worked for City of Geelong. And then I found out, the life is not for me. So I moved back and then I worked for City of Benue. And then after that, I worked for Best Chance and YMCA Ballarat. I had a lot of experience working with vulnerable children in Dandenong area and also Heidelberg West. A lot of them were from refugee background or children involved with child protection. So that are something that I can share with you as well. And then just from November 2019, I've been doing the training that I mentioned before. I'm still working at Kinder at the same time. So today's presentation, the main topics I will talk about are discussing challenges student-teacher face during placement, especially due to the cultural differences, and also how to build positive relationship with mentor, which I find a lot of student teachers, they fail their placement because of that. Sometimes it's not necessarily you're not a good teacher. It might be just the chemicals is not right. You're not really getting along with your mentor. And next one is how to collect evidence for your portfolio to be successful for your job interview. Trust me, having a portfolio is definitely a bonus for your interview, and all the evidence you need to collect it, through all your placement. So make sure you keep the photos of the teaching experience you set up, all the paperwork. And so when you go for interview, you have the examples ready for your employers. And also, I will talk about what things we should not do at placement. And also, some of the student teachers are not really confident managing group time. So group time strategies, and also some popular songs and games you can play at the group time. And things also include how to set up learning activities and how to start and sustain the conversation with children, staff, and families. Some international students might find it a bit challenging. All right. So first, I will share some of embarrassing mistakes I made when I was a student. So coming from China, we have that habit having a little nap after lunch. So my second placement was in a private primary school in the city. It was in a like a business building. It was really like an alternative school, and then there was no space for teachers' office. So when children have lunch and recess outside, me and my mentor was in the classroom. It was sort of like the office space. So I was thinking, oh, okay, there was no student there. It should be all right, It's officially like a recess time. So I just had a little, like I didn't really lie down. It was just on the table. I just, closed my eyes, had a little rest for 10 minutes. And my mentor didn't say anything at that time. But, when he was doing my final report, he was saying, I wasn't presenting myself professionally to the students. Yeah, so make sure that you don't make the mistakes like me. And also with the clothing, sometimes I get the student teacher who wears short skirts or just shorts. We often get down to children's level to talk to children. So these clothing are definitely not appropriate. And also some children, they also wear like boots, like heavy metal boots with nails on them. They were not really safe and practical either. So be aware of that. And the next mistake I made was to refuse to attend the staff meeting. I didn't drive at that time, so I thought, oh, it was out of work hours, and maybe I don't need to attend the meeting. So I just said I didn't want to attend. And again, my mentor didn't say anything. But final report, he only gave me a pass because he said you didn't show me any initiative. Staff meeting was part of the like teaching duty, but you refused to attend. And then I remember this lesson. So from that placement onwards, I always try my best to show the initiative. And and then later on, when I became a teacher, I had another student teacher who made the same mistake. And then her mentor wasn't that nice because she refused to attend the meeting. Her mentor was actually saying, okay, then we don't want you to do your placement here because I can't see that you want to be a teacher. So I was a little bit lucky. So make sure if your mentor asks you to do something, no, don't say no. All right. And also, okay, that's the moment that I learned the word initiative. So I'm sure that you will have a better understanding now. So if you see a mentor is busy, maybe offer to do some, cleaning. If a child is really upset, your mentor was, comforting that child, and you can, engage with other children. So just always try to find something that you can help. Okay, and with the food sharing and food allergy, because coming from China, we really didn't have much knowledge. There were not many children, not many children or people have food allergy. So we were brought up and being taught that you need to share the food with your friends. So it was, totally different thing for us after coming to Australia. And then I did hear that one student teacher, because the child asked for her snack, and then she shared the food with the child. It was definitely no, because we all know that we have so many children with allergies. So we need to be mindful about that. And the cultural understanding of communication. Again, people from my culture background, we believe that if we ask too many questions, sometimes we look really like ignorant or troublesome. So we try not to ask too many questions. But then again, I find through my experience, it's better to ask questions than making mistakes. And also always communicating what you want to do, like the learning experience you want to set up with your a mentor teacher first before you carry out that activities. Because I had some student teacher who said, oh, I did 3 activities this week. And then I was like, what? I didn't know, like they didn't even communicate with me. So when they actually taught the activities, I was not there to observe. So that was not good. So make sure that you always communicate with your mentor. And the cultural understanding of the professional relationship with families. So that's another story. When I had my first placement, I often give a lot of attention to children who are really quiet and withdrawn from the whole group. So there was a little Aboriginal boy who always played by himself. So I just play with him a lot. And because of that, every day I give his dad a lot of feedback on, what he did every day. And then his dad just asked for the contact. So that was my first placement. So I didn't know that it was not professional to keep that, private contact with the parents. So I just shared my contact, and then he organized some, play, over his place. And then he also mentioned, if you want, you really like my child. So if you want, when I need to go out some nights, you can come and look after, like play with him, look after him. So now I look back, oh, he was trying to use me as a free babysitter because I really like his child. But then it's really not professional. Some days he even asked me to stay over, but I said I refused. So just be really careful. I always think as long as you're working at that kindergarten, don't give your personal contact to the families. If you really find yourself building that good relationship with the families, maybe after you finish your placement or after you finish work, if it's also in compliance with your uni policy, maybe you can give them your contact. Mm. And then also with the cultural differences, being overconfident and confident. So in my culture, we were told not to really stand out, not to be too different from the majority. Don't show off, So we always being like really modest and worry about, oh, is that appropriate? But as we know that in Australian culture, it's okay to show yourself. So for example, if you are really good at playing some instruments, just bring it to your placement, just show your mental teacher all the talents you have. And it's always for us, we need to be a bit overconfident, to present well in front of the mental. Okay, so next one, how to build positive relationship with mentor. Oh, also I want to say, if you have any questions, feel free to feel free to ask me anytime. Okay, so first, as I mentioned before, show your initiatives. It could be, help with cleaning, supporting individual children, and also writing some observations. We all have KPI as a kinder teacher. Like we need to write maybe 1 to 2 observations for each child per month. So, if you write some observations for your focused children and you show your mentor, she think it's really good. Feel free to say, we can. Is it okay for me to share it with the families? And also next one is always interacting with children. Show your passion and your enjoyment working with children. So from my experience as a mentor teacher, a good student teacher is someone who show me that they really enjoy, playing with children, talking with children. I had some student teacher who stood around, didn't know what to do, a bit lost. That I will just think, oh, maybe he or she doesn't really enjoy, working with children. So that's really important. No matter your mentor was watching you or not watching you, always, get down to children's level and interacting with them. And also, if you have a lot of questions, I know some student teachers have a lot of questions. If you have little questions, you can ask during the session. But if you have a lot of questions, I do prefer my student teacher ask me, after the session. Or I understand some lonely care center, the ECT might not have that much planning time. So maybe you can ask her when is the best time to ask her questions. Yeah, if I have a student teacher ask me questions like half hour every day, I do find it really, taking too much time out of my planning time. And next one, I already mentioned, always check with your mentor and your the co-educators before you set up a new learning activity, because sometimes what you plan might not be reflecting the center's philosophy. They might not want you to do it, so you better check with them first. And next is communicate first and seek feedback from time to time. I heard some story. The student teacher didn't communicate anything, didn't ask for feedback until the final report day, and then they got a failure. They failed the placement and didn't know why. And the mentor said, because I didn't observe all that practices, you didn't communicate with me. So please don't always communicate. And also remember what mentor has told you. all the feedback, please be, keep that in mind. I once give my student teacher a constructive feedback. So she was studying like Master of Teaching Early Childhood and Primary. So at the group time, she was talking about, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was a mathematics concept in like at the primary school level. It was a bit hard for my 4-year-olds. So I suggested to her, maybe you can talk about something more simple, like simpler, or don't use that terminology. You explain the concept first before you like teach them that terminology. But she just argued and they get really defensive and say, oh, I believe if they don't know this word, then if I taught them this word, they will know. Like it's okay to use primary school levels the terminology. So it didn't really give the mentor a good impression that you are okay to receive constructive feedback. So make sure that you appreciate the feedback but not getting too defensive. But I understand sometimes the mentor is not right all the time, but still your mentor is doing your assessment. If you have something that you disagree with, you can maybe chat with your lectures like Narelle Wendy, but keep your maybe your negative opinion to yourself. Yeah. All right. Next one is we can we if we want to build positive relationship, even with like staff colleagues. Sometimes you're in the staff room, you do have some casual chat, something about your personal life. Then that is okay. If your mentor shows that interest to know you more, to get to know you more, then that's another good way to build the relationships. And as I said, always ask the feedback at least once a week. And then at the end of placement, you can write a thank you card for your mentor and all the stuff there. And then that's the time that you can ask for reference, like, can you be my referee? And because I had so many student teachers who said I didn't ask them to be my referee, and then they have to uh, go back to look for them, after 1 year or 2 years, and it was kind of like didn't go really well. So make sure you keep their contacts. And if you know you're not going to look for a job within 1 year, and then they might forget about you, maybe you can offer say, happy to do some casual work or volunteer work. So keep in touch. So then it's not too hard for you to ask for their reference, after 1 year or two. Okay. And also, if you really want to give your mentor a present to show your appreciation, that's fine. But do that at the end of the placement. Because I had a student teacher who gave me present on the Thursday. I feel like, wow, it's like I feel like a little bit like a bribe. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Next one is how to collect evidence for your portfolio to be successful for your job interview. I can show you my two portfolios. One is the portfolio that I did, when I graduated, when I was looking for my first job. And the second one is after I worked for 2 years. So you can have a little bit of ideas what we can collect as evidence. So I'll stop share and then spotlight myself. Ping. Can you see my portfolio? Maybe not that clear. Yeah. So it's up to you what you want for your cover. I put this certificate. If you have a photo showing your special skills like playing instruments or dancing, anything that represents you, you can put it in there. For me, I think a really successful way to leave good impression to the employer is to show what you are different from other people. Yes, everybody's gonna say, I'm a passionate working with children, I'm a great team player, I'm a great communicator. But think about something that you're really different. So because I did the process drama in my last semester, so I just said, every interview I said, that's my specialized area. And that's how I make the employer remember me. So all the like learning stories that I did about the process drama, I kept them, and that will be the first thing on the page. And in order to do that drama, I also drew a little book, and I also showed them the picture book that I drew. So it's really, sorry about the noise, showing the employer, how much I put in every activity. And again, that's a project about space. I had a table set up. I had a drama taking children to travel to Mars. So all that learning stories and pictures, you can keep them. But then some people might say, oh, my mentor didn't want me to take any photos. But I'm sure they are okay with you to take photos of the learning experience. And if you say, every photo I took, I'm not going to capture children's face, and you can ask her to check, maybe, that's doable. So build good relationship with your mentor and then see whether she can help you out. When you were doing group time, you can also ask your mentor whether she can take a photo with focus on you rather than the children. So that will be also a great evidence for your portfolio. And then I also did something to promote Chinese culture. Oh, I also play guitar. So I had experience teaching children guitar and letting every child to play the guitar and then express their feelings by playing like different tunes. There's a science activity, the life cycle of butterfly. Again, you must learn this already. Like we need to plan activities based on children's interests, and then you can have a concept map. You can do something in numeracy, literacy, science, drama, art, music. So try to do as much as you can and leave all these learning stories and lesson plan, program plan, or reflections. And another good thing to collect is children's drawing. I don't know whether you can see. So reflective drawing and then the illustrations and children's voice is a great way. It's a great way to show your teaching outcome as well. Okay. And then some other activities like making dumplings or Chinese qigong, which is kind of like yoga. Yeah. So just like this. My first portfolio is very simple. And I also had some reflections as well and the concept map. So that was enough for me to find my first job successfully. And it will definitely impress your employer. And then after you start working, you will get a more evidence. So that's a portfolio I made after 2 years of working. And so what I did is the first page, I wrote a philosophy statement, but I'm not wrote it in lengthy words. I have the keywords. What was the philosophy that I really believe in, like a Reggio Emilia approach or family-centered practice? Just the keywords. Because during the interview, no one's gonna want to see, wow, big chunk of essay. And then for each philosophy that I believe in, I have some activities to support my belief. So with family-centered practice, I might have a parent did the incursion for us. He was a police officer. Yes, so that's an activity to show that I really embrace family-centered practice. And then, for example, community engagement, I might have activity inviting the Aboriginal elder to do some face painting and show us the Aboriginal, the handcraft. I have this activity to back up my philosophy community engagement. So that's a really good way to organize your learning stories. And then I also have, the program plan to show them that most of my learning experiences, I follow the planning cycle. So first observation, and then planning, and then during teaching, I have the reflections. I make sure I have at least one teaching project showing this learning cycle. And then definitely, when you start working, you will see children with additional needs all the time. So if you can have an inclusion support plan to show them the strategies, the goals you set up for children with additional needs and the strategies and your reflection, that's also a very essential criteria for a teacher as well. So I was really lucky that I worked for City of Moonee Valley. So we had a great budget for incursion excursions. We had a Vietnamese child, and her parents ran a Vietnamese restaurant. And then we were really lucky that we rent a bus and then we took all the children to have a Vietnamese food there, because some of the children never had much, food from other cultures. And we also had one excursion to fire station. We also visited the other kindergartens that was also managed by City of Mooney Valley. And when I was working in City of Greater Geelong, I was in a regional area. So we had families who had like farm animals in their backyard. So we can just do like a spontaneous excursion to their backyard, feeding the sheep. It was really exciting. So always try to think out of your box, what else you can do to make your program more fun and utilize your parents and the community as great resource. So with this portfolio, pretty much I can get the job that I want. So a good portfolio is definitely a great help. Yeah. Okay. So back to my PowerPoint. So far, do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay. Then I'll keep going. Next one is about don'ts. So some of them maybe I already mentioned it before. So don't stand around not knowing what to do, not interacting with children. Even though sometimes even the staff do that. I know, but there must be some staff, who were not that engaged with children, but or chatting with each other, but don't copy them. And also don't just interact with one child only. I often find some new teachers, they also, find comfortable to interact with one child and they always with that child. But that's not a good sign for the mental. You need to show that you are able to interact with all the children and you have the big picture in your mind. Especially when you're taking full control, always check the numbers of children and then whether there are enough staff, making sure we always have the right ratio. That's really important. All right, and also don't be shy. Introduce yourself to the parents and staff. I know, especially with COVID-19, maybe you don't have much opportunities to interact with parents. Then write a small, like a self-introduction, put it at the door, and always try to, great acknowledge the families and especially the families of your focused children every day. Show your mentor that you are able to communicate this child's daily learning to the parents. And don't refuse to help when being requested. Don't get self-defensive when hearing constructive feedback. And don't, yes, and this is for the international student, don't say my English is not good, so I can't do something. It's not an excuse for not performing well. And also don't accept invitation or personal contact from families. If families say something inappropriate, sometimes the families might feel quite close to you and they might say something negative about the kinder, about your mentor or other stuff. Well, that's I think if with some constructive feedback, you need to see, sometimes you might need to let the mentor know, or sometimes you better keep it to yourself. Yeah, and don't withhold information if you see a child having an accident. Yeah, so sometimes the accident happened and only you witness that, and make sure you let the mentor know. Don't worry that you'll get into trouble or they will ask you to write an accident report. It's not your responsibility. Just let them know what happened, and then the mentor will, write the accident report. And also don't stay with children alone inside or outside without supervision. You know that you are not part of the ratio. Oh, I heard some stories like some kindergartens or childcares letting their student teachers to be that inclusion support assistant and stay with the children with additional needs all the time. That's not appropriate. Like they shouldn't have that kind of expectation on you. They need to be there to support and show you how to interact with children with additional needs, but not leaving everything to you. All right, next one is about group time management strategies. A lot of new teachers who haven't found their teacher's voice, especially people who are a bit shy, introvert, they find it really hard to do the group time. So you need to observe your mentor, observe your lecturers. When they teach, they definitely talk a bit louder, or sometimes you need to use some exaggerated expression and tone to engage the younger ones. A good way to start is to have some visual group time rules. For example, I will share one visual. So in our paperwork training, we have this online resource. Let me see, where is it? With a lot of visuals you can use. Here we go. Sorry, I just accidentally closed it. I have to open it again.
So we're just still seeing your PowerPoint. So if you want us to see a screen, you might have to unshare.
Yes.
Sharing and then go
So
back
start
into what
again.
you want. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's it. Beautiful.
Yeah. So before you start doing your activities, you can go through the rules with children. I can listen with my whole body. I listen with my ears. I have quiet mouth. I keep my hands on my lap. I look at the speaker. I listen with my heart. If you go through these rules with them, settle them down first before you do the activities. And also sometimes you can ask your mentor what are the rules that they already have, so you can just continue follow their practice. Okay, and then back to my PowerPoint. Oh, not this one. Sorry, there are so many things that I open. Oh, here we go. Can you see the PowerPoint now? Can you see it?
Yep, beautiful. Thank you.
All right. One strategy that you often see is like hands on your body parts, like hands on your head, hands on your shoulder. That you might already familiar with. Another one is focus, focus, everybody focus, and then you do this kind of the sign, so the children know every time you say that they need to focus on you. And another one that is quite common is 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and then the children need to say 1, 2, 3, eyes on you, so you can regain their attention. And then you can use props. Props are always really helpful. If you want to have really easy and successful group time, use puppets. Use puppets to sing songs and do some activities, and then you don't need to worry about behavior management. So I can show you one little example, and also clap your hands like me. You can ask children to clap hands, repeat the pattern, and that's another way to get their attention. So rather than say, okay, everybody listen to me, please, use these strategies. So I'll show you one example, 3 jellyfish. That's okay, what did I do? Really popular song as well. Here you go. I'll play the song. Can you hear it? So before you sing the song, you ask children, being really interactive, and how many jellyfish can you see? And what are the colors? And then you can ask children to, put up their 3 fingers and sing the song with you. And then every time, then after every child had sing the song together, and then you can choose 3 children in a group, and they can hold the jellyfish. And then when they fell off the rock, and then the child can sit down. So that is, being the successful group time, you need to always be interactive. If children, being the participant, they will never lose the, the concentration. So that's a good activity you can do. And then I will share all the songs that are really popular these days at Kingdom. You can take a screenshot if you want. It's that, these action songs, Head and Shoulder, Knees and Toe, or Bingo, or the numeracy one, like, 5 Little Monkeys. All these songs are very interactive and very, it will help you to have a easier group time. And the dance as well, like Baby Shark, they are very popular. And also, I like to do a lot of games at Kinder. Like my session finishes at 1:30. So at 1 o'clock, I ask children to pack up their bags, and then we sit down for about 20 minutes group time. So we might sing songs, do some dance. Then at the end, we will do a game. A game is a great way for children to develop listening skills and also taking turns, follow the instructions. So here are some really popular games that we play. For example, the bug in the rug is really popular one. So all the children sit in a circle, and also everybody needs to know everyone's names. So I will pick one child, sit away from the group, and close his or her eyes. And then I'll hide one child, under the blanket, and then we'll sing "Bag in the rag, bag in the rag. Guess who's the bag in the rag?" And turn around, have a guess. And then the child sitting on the chair need to turn around and guess who's missing. So that's always like the most popular game at our kingdom. Who took the cookie from the cookie jar? You might heard of that song before. It's also really interactive. So you can take a photo of this as well. And if you have some like crazy days, it's raining a lot, the games are always a good way to get the children engaged. And all the kinder teachers' favorite game is the dead fish. So all the children can settle down a bit. You can play some quiet, soothing music and have them to lie down, and they have to pretend to be dead if they move or talk, and they are out of the games. I also do a lot of meditation with children as well. On YouTube, there's some like a Bible meditation. They are all, guided meditation. They are also great ways to settle children down on a rainy day. Okay, so how to set up learning activities? So first, it's definitely 80% I would expect coming from children's interest, and then 20% it can be your own intentional teaching. It can be your Aboriginal culture or sustainability or anything that you think is helpful for children. And also use the holistic approach. So as I said, if you find out the interest, for example, is the space, then you can have lots of activities in different developmental areas. It can be table setup, stories, song, dance, drama, art and craft. And then check with your mentor before you implement these activities. And then you can also consider something that you're specialized in. Maybe it's your instrument, yoga, dance, or baking, gardening, and anything. And then also do something from your culture. That's always really good. We do have a big learning activity database, which is made of like hundreds of photos. So we've been taking photos of the table setup at Kinda and collecting all these setup ideas. So there are a few things that can really make your activities looking great. One is using that kind of mirror, and it's very, very Reggio Emilia as well. Just create that uh, space, define the space, and also the children can be really interactive. And also use the fabric. The fabric also set the tone for that learning activity as well. Or sometimes it can, set the boundaries, define the play area as well. And also use lots of open-ended materials and natural materials, so the children can use their imagination, and the materials can be used in any ways in their pretend play. And also always add some numeracy or literacy part to that activity as well. For example, the big picture you can see is the Japanese table with some Japanese dolls and also some postcards that with Japanese characters on it. So you can see, we always add some literacy in there as well. If you do a table, for example, let me see. That's Kookaburra. If you set up, for example, a dinosaur table, then have the book displayed next to the table, about dinosaurs. It's always making it look more lovely. Yeah. And see, here are some examples that we're using a lot of natural materials, leaves, pebbles, branches, things like that. It really makes your activity really inviting. You can also do that outside. And here, this is a table about a polar bear. See, with that, the fabric, it really create that soothing, calming atmosphere. And also use the cotton and pretend to be the snow. It's really sensory rich as well. And lots of posters, and have a book about polar bear, and that's really inviting. And this is a table about butterflies. So as you can see how we use log and grass and different materials a lot. Okay, so there are more examples. I'm just going to open another folder. if you have your placement, make sure you take some time to go to see what's in your storeroom. Like try to utilize the resource the kinder already have. But there are times that I find myself by purchasing some resources because some kinders might not have what you want. Then it's necessary to do so. If you can, take a good photo for your teaching portfolio, then it's necessary to do so. You can purchase some like cheaper resources from maybe Kmart, eBay, or $2 shops. Sometimes $2 shops have a lot of things that will surprise you. So that's our database with great photos. As you can see, we try to use fabric, open-ended materials. This is like a fairy garden. Let me see. I'll show you more examples. That's a shopping corner. Sometimes the recycled materials can be really helpful as well. You can take some, boxes from home or ask the parents to donate some. So this is the shopping corner. Wow, I have to stop share and share again every time. Here we go. That's a good example as well. Yes, so that's about elephants. We use a lot of plants that we already have at Kinda to just, create that atmosphere like it's a jungle and use the rocks and grass and also this kind of felt. So it's really inviting for children. It's very, especially for children with additional needs. Lots of sensory rich materials, it really, calm them down. And something else like, let me see. I want to find some experiences in utilizing the light table. Just 1 second. I need to jump to another folder. 2016. Sometimes the light table, like people will think we're just gonna put some magnetic blocks on there, or that's it. But you know what? Sometimes you can, if you set up an insect table and if you set up on the light table with that lights, it can create a different atmosphere as well. I can't find the pictures right now, so I just talk about it. Okay, might be in another folders. Do you have any questions at the moment? And also like an outdoor area, you can do a lot of things in the outdoor area as well. Like this is a box, but actually this is a table and we put it, the other way. It's kind of like a box. So it's like the farm activity. So a lot of times you need to think outside the box and then you can really surprise your mentor with the activities you set up.
I really appreciate you sharing these beautiful experiences, because I think even in primary school, the early years of primary school, we forget how important these sensory experiences are for children, to prompt oral language development, to prompt literacy learning, mathematical thinking, problem solving. They're so important. So I really appreciate you actually showing the visual representations of what these experiences look like. I think it's so important to actually, be able to see it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I can see someone, feel free to ask questions. Okay, I see. All right, and so that's a little example of the doctor area. Sometimes you can get children to help setting up the area. So maybe children can help drawing something like opening hours or the equipment, things like that. Don't think it's just your own job to set up the activity. If you can get children involved, it's also a great sign that you are, reflecting children's voice. Okay. All right. On the recording, I see. Okay, so that's the about setup. Let's keep going. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. And also my colleague, her name is Crystal, and she's also doing the training with me. But now she just got a new job becoming an early intervention coordinator because she's been working in Heidelberg West longer than me. So during that few years, she worked a lot of children with additional needs and also involved in child protection. So now with that rich experience, now she moved on to become an early childhood intervention coordinator. And also her bachelor is also specialized in, it's in one of our top universities that studying English. So she has a really great English skills and can really help the international students. So she also come up with booklet with all the items that we use at Kinder, some of the little things for international students, we might not know, like stencil or just little things, or like the bees. If you just came to Australia, you might not know all these words. So she came up with all the vocabulary that's frequently used at Kinder, and also how to start conversation or sustain the conversation. So I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna go in that deep details because that's her specialized area, and she's not here today. So I just want to introduce her to you guys. Yeah, so that's all the presentation for today. And we do have another like a free training session coming up in April. If I can just quickly share the flyer with everyone, and then that's the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
We've got a couple of admirations of your jellyfish and as resources as well. So in terms of where they made or where they purchased, and if they were purchased, where you can get them from.
I really want to be able to tell you where I purchased it. Let me see. It says Toy and Educational Design in Australia. No. So because our Kinder already got these resources, but I'm sure if you're being really creative, if you go to Spotlight, you buy the fabric and then the cotton, I'm sure you can make it yourself. Or sometimes you can get children to make the puppets first and then sing the songs together. It might even better. Use some paper plates or and googly eyes, you can make the puppets by yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that adds inspiration to make yourself. Very, very easy to do in terms of fabric. And I've seen them sometimes in centers where we've put a tennis ball or a soft little ball in the center and then fabric over. You can just tie them with a bow and sort of sew them in, and then either have the fabric hanging there or sort of cut them with the legs. So there's all sorts of ways, even the children making themselves, depending on the age group as well. So there's lots of different approaches. So it's awesome. There's beautiful comments in terms of thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Inspired and very much incredible insights. And, I was writing notes as you were speaking, and I think some of the really key highlights that came out for me were that tuning into who you are and celebrating who you are as a future teacher, and particularly drawing out your strengths, your gifts. But I loved how you framed highlighting what you're different for and seeing that as a beautiful gift that you provide to your mentor, the centers and educational context that you work in for professional experience, but also future, which is a beautiful way of framing it. And you definitely highlighted that place of relationships as well, building and maintaining them with your mentor, who potentially could be a future colleague as well. Whether you're in the same centre as you move on forward, but also in the sector as well, because it's highly likely you'll bump into each other and have each other as that way. And I love that you highlighted ongoing feedback, seeking the ongoing feedback. Be careful not to make judgment to yourself, but also to others as well, which is really important at this time, particularly when we're, still juggling COVID. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? We've come out of 2020, which was a wildly crazy, unusual, tough year for many of us, still being gentle on ourselves and being gentle on our mentor as well as we progress through that. And I, having been someone who is from an arts background, having worked in early childhood, primary and secondary, I'm a total advocate for the found objects and making and exploring through drama and music and dance and movement. And you certainly inspired that with your visual presentation of what's available and how to set up those amazing learning centres and opportunities in different ways, and drawing on resources that are available, found objects from the environment, and things that we can make as well. So I'm inspired, and I'm pretty sure that everyone else is, and we can see the beautiful thank yous coming through on the comment box as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making me so welcome.
Oh, an absolute pleasure. We're so delighted that you could join us. And I'm sure there'll be much inspiration occurring this afternoon and this evening as everyone sort of processes and navigates through this wonderful presentation. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to share the PowerPoint if you would like. And also just letting everyone know, on April 11th, we have a free session about supporting children with additional needs. My colleague Crystal will be there, and how to embed musical activities in daily routine, and the use of open-ended art materials, how to set up engaging learning environment, and some basic interview skills, and also about VIT full registration. So if you're interested, I'm happy to share that as well.
Yeah. Wonderful. If you want to email me the presentation in whatever format you would like, and also this opportunity for training and network, I can send that out to everyone who was here today. So that's beautiful. Thank you. Very, very generous. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And all the best to your journey to become a teacher. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And we'll see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Narelle. Bye-bye.